Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome back to a brand new Call of Duty Warzone video on the channel. This one is a follow-up from the Warzone beginner tips video that we did. If you haven't seen that, I'd recommend checking it out. There is a couple of tips in there that you probably have not heard before, but this video is going to be the advanced Warzone tips, which I'm sure there is a few of them that you definitely have not heard of. A couple of the topics we are covering today is dropping in, the fastest way to drop in, as well as getting the most distance. A bit about equipment and the best way to use it, how to use all components of your map for the best advantage, and a lot about team play. If you go on to learn something from this video, I would really appreciate a like, and if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. And as I said already, we do have a beginner's guide up on the channel. You can click the card in the top right, that'll bring you directly to that video. So we're going to start things off with dropping in. Now I touched on this in the beginner's video, but obviously if you have quite a bit of distance to go and you need to get there as fast as possible, you're rushing for a contract, a good rule of thumb is to always cut and redeploy your parachute. Using the speed marker on the right hand side, between 50 and 60 for speed is the sweet spot. As you can see here, I get a perfect landing. I'm assuming you've been playing Warzone a while, so you can actually judge the sort of distance. There's a way that's a bit slower. This is obviously one of the fastest ways to get down and to your location, but there is a slower way that will get you over a further distance, and that is turning directly to the side and going either left or right using your parachute. And this is what it looks like. It will get you over a further distance, but as I said, it is a hell of a lot slower. You can mainly use it for the times where it's a real one-sided playing journey with an opposite side zone. It does happen sometimes, it looks weird. Or if you really just want to go for a non-aggressive landing spot, get your loot and then take a vehicle into the main zone. You guys really have to judge it right as the game starts. The next one is one of my favorite tips personally. As you guys know, there is a map loadout drop that comes in at the close of the first zone. To be specific, it comes in at 11 to 13 seconds as the zone is finishing closing. This loadout drop always has to spawn within 150 meters of you. If you're in a squad, it is going to spawn in 150 meters within one of you. So stay close around this time, I'd say. There's two things you can use this for. You can actually use it to manipulate the loadout drop. So if you're on the edge of the zone and you don't want to be contested for this, if you're not already kitted out or anything like that, it's kind of safer to do this. You walk out into no man's land pretty much and wait for it to spawn in. It's going to spawn in on its own. In the event you're in a built up area or you do this and there's two loadout drops on this exact spot, it means there is enemies within 150 meters of that loadout drop. So it's kind of two little tips in one, and you can use this to your advantage. You get info as well as actually sort of getting a safe loadout. Surprisingly, not a lot of people know this one. So if you have a friend that you think doesn't know this either, make sure you send them this video. I'm also assuming that you guys know to take overkill on the first loadout and on the map loadout to take ghost. For those who don't, you already know what video to go to. Next up then is the self-revive trick. As I'd say a lot of people know this one, I thought I'd include it anyway, is to charge up your self-revive all the way, but don't proc it. You actually save your self-revive and you can reuse this. Obviously, if you self-revive fully on your own, the self-revive kit is used and you have to get one again. Here's what it looks like from the other perspective. You charge it up all the way and then get your friend to finish it off, and it only takes literally half a second if you charge it up all the way. They literally just have to tap you and that's it. It's a nice little quick one. While we're on the topic of reviving, did you know that reviving stops fall damage? If your friend goes down on the top of a building that doesn't have a drop down or anything like that, one of the only ways that he's going to get saved is to take the leap of faith. Something straight out of Assassin's Creed. It's he drops down and you gotta hold the button, whatever button it is, to revive. Don't tap it, don't try time it. You gotta hold that button and you can catch him midair and it will revive him. Normally this fall damage would finish off someone who was already downed, but you're stopping that fall damage from happening. It's a nice little trick to keep in mind if you have to use it. Next up, we're going to talk a bit about late game. When there is still contracts on the ground, I would recommend picking up a bounty contract. As you guys know, towards late game, a lot of people are ghosted. They won't appear on UAVs, they won't appear on heartbeat sensors, and you need as much info as possible when you're sort of pushing through the likes of downtown or salt mine or any built up areas. Any info is good info. So picking up a bounty contract will target people even if they have ghost. Even if you don't want to push this bounty and you don't want to kill, you don't want to fight, you're using that information to know where an enemy is located. Next up, we're going to move on to our sort of mini tip section of the video. One is to always close doors behind you and to take note of what sort of types of doors in the building there is. Obviously we have three main types. It's going to be a wooden door, it's going to be a metal door, or it's going to be sort of a plastic door. It's the one with a sort of green glass on it. It's not actual glass, but the 3 of those doors make different sounds. Let's take some of the buildings in Promenade, for example. On some of the entry doors to those buildings, you got a wooden door. Sometimes some of the side rooms are metal doors, when in other buildings there are sort of plastic door entries and wooden doors when you go upstairs. If you're chilling on the top of the building or upstairs, there's 2 things you're going to know. You're going to know what direction the enemy came from and how close they are to you. For example, with the Promenade buildings, if you were a metal door, you know that they're going into loot, they're not actually pushing up the stairs. It's always good to take note of the doors that are in your building if you're going to chill there for a couple of minutes. The next one's a basic one, so basic that a lot of people actually don't do it. It's to call out when you smash glass. When you jump through a window or smash glass, just say, look, that's me on glass. It gives your teammates information. If you get into this as a habit, that way you know when you smash glass, you know when your teammates smash glass, and if you hear glass smash and nobody talks, you know that it's an enemy. The last sort of mini tip here I'd say is always pick a gas mask over a self-revive. 9 times out of 10 you're not going to be able to proc your self-revive fully. If you get one picked up, it's grand. You can use the trick from earlier. But when it really comes to late game and it's sort of close quarters, I'd say a gas mask is your best friend. You can make plays by running around and flanking the enemy, running into the gas and coming out behind them, because they're going to expect you to be in the gas. They're not going to look behind them. But with self-revive, sometimes they are hard to proc, especially if it's sort of open or if you're getting shot by snipers. The sniper is always going to get a headshot on you, you're going to go down, and he's going to use the second shot to finish you off. Another good habit to get into with like the closing door things that I was talking about earlier is to take note of the other contracts on your map. If you see one disappear, that is an indicator that an enemy just picked one up. It's kind of hard to do when it's sort of swarmed with contracts, but towards late game, if you know there's a bounty sort of in the other building across the way, and that there's a scavenger in the building on the opposite side, and one of them disappears and you didn't pick it up, you know somebody is in that building. I want to talk about equipment for a sec. One of the most OP equipments right now is the recon drone, especially if you're in a building. Like as you can see here, we need to rotate across the runway. It's a good idea to know who's going to be shooting us. Basically, we know there's 2 guys up here, and the recon drone range is insane. It can go on for a good bit. You get a good bit of time in there. You can spot who's going to be pushing, what way they're going to be rotating. You can make decisions with extra info. Remember, any info is good info. We know there's going to be a heavy rotation, so we might as well go early across this, try not to get shot in the back by the guys at airport, but we know they're sort of engaging on the guys shooting down here, engaging on someone else. We know there's going to be at least 3 teams pushing across this runway with us. Another interesting piece of information is trophy systems last for about 10 minutes, only if they aren't destroyed by an enemy or they aren't used 2 or 3 times to destroy nades. They're always good to carry, especially if you're chilling in an attic. In this clip right here, I know that people are in the other buildings. In the event that one of us peeks a window, we get sniped, we go down, their instinct is going to be to push and rush us. They're going to be nading in the window. You will be able to get the revive off with the trophy system in there to prevent the nades, and then you can watch the stairs together. And last one, it's a bit of a risky one, I'm not going to lie. It is you can use a deployable cover to get some shield when reviving your teammate in the open. Obviously this takes the fact that you have to run over where your teammate has recently been downed, where the enemy is already aiming, and you have to place a deployable cover. You can't shoot back, you can't do anything. You gotta place this down and get a revive. It works well in anything but duos, because the 3rd or 4th fella on your team can be giving covering fire. If they're fully focused on you, he's getting free shots. So use this one with caution. I talked about rotations in the beginners tips video as well. But sometimes you just get the wrong side of the zone. You gotta push across the river, or you gotta push across an open field, or push across a runway without info. You're on the hard side, the zone's coming in fast, you gotta just run. One of the best ways to cross is to use a kill streak. Throw in a cluster of guys aiming at you with snipers. They're going to run. It's going to give you about 5 or 10 seconds to get further on that runway, get to cover, or swerve left or swerve right. On the topic of streaks, you're also better off saving them towards the end of the game. You can get some streaks for end game that aren't UAVs. A lot of people get into the habit of that. Remember, a lot of people are going to be ghosted anyway. If it's a built up area or even in the open, clusters are going to make your enemies run for the hills, giving you free shots. It's a great way to finish off a game. And on that note, it's a great way to finish off a video. So I am going to leave it here. I hope you all did enjoy. I hope you all did learn something. Remember to subscribe for more Warzone videos like this one. And without further ado, I am going to leave the video here. Peace out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in another video very, very soon.